Do you feel like this? Like prices are spiraling out of control, that your money is crumbling, and that your stagnant income guarantees that you will never catch up? If so, then this video is for you. Today, I will share 4 simple tips that anyone can follow to save their first $10,000 using the $417 rule. And here is the good news. You are not the only person who feels this way. According to Bloomberg, over 50% of anyone over 40 is living paycheck to paycheck. And look at this. Even people who make over $250,000, the top 5% of earners, are also living paycheck to paycheck. And by the way, I'm Brandon. Over the past 10 years, I worked on Wall Street as an investment banker, and now I run a $100+ million venture capital fund. It is safe to say I understand how the wealthy save and grow their wealth, and I will share some of those tips with you today. Okay, tip number 1, understanding your income and your expenses. Saving $10,000 may seem unattainable, but we are going to save $10,000 or walk through how you can save $10,000 over a 2-year period using the $417 rule. I know where you're thinking, where is this $10,000 going to come from? Well, I know exactly where it's going to come from. I recently did a video called the 65-15-20 rule, where you keep 65% of your income is for expenses or less. 15% of your income is for investing, and 20% of your income is for spending guilt-free. If you have not watched that video yet, it's down in the description below, but that is the basis on what I'm about to teach. Okay, the first place that we're going to go to save this $10,000, we're going to go after the big 3. And I'm not talking about those big 3. I'm not talking about LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. I'm talking about housing, transportation, and food. These are the 3 biggest expenses across the board for most people. They can add up anywhere between 20 to 40% of all of your take-home income can be spent on these 3 categories, which means if we start to cut or evolve and to move around anything in these 3 categories, we might see our biggest savings. So our goal is to save $10,000. Most of that goal is going to come out of that 65% of your take-home income. Now, let's just say you have a typical household income take-home of $75,000. So 65% of $75,000, roughly $48,000 to $49,000. Now, we're saving over 2 years. So I believe you can save $7,500 of that $10,000 literally just out of this 65%. So we want to save half of $7,500 every year, which is $3,750, $3.75K. So $3.75K out of $48,000 to $49,000 now seems feasible. And we're just doing this over 2 years. Okay, I do know that we still have $2,500 left to save. That $2,500 is going to come out of the 20% that we spend guilt-free every year. Again, the 65-15-20% rule. 20% of that goes to guilt-free spending. The 20% of $75,000 as a take-home is $15,000. And so we need to save over 2 years, $2,500 out of $30,000. Do you see why I think that this is very feasible now? These are very small amounts, if you will, to these larger grand amounts. And we have expanded the time. We're not doing it in 1 year, we're doing it in 2 years. So this helps us get up to speed quite quickly. Okay, let's break this down into what we need to do every month for 2 years. Number 1, we are going to take $313 out of our big 3. So housing, transportation, and food. $313 every month. Okay, number 2, we will take out $104 every month out of our guilt-free spending, the 20% of our take-home income that we can just spend however we want to. That 104 plus that 313 gets you to the $417 rule. As long as we can follow this rule every single month, and we can invest this capital either in a high interest bank account, or if we can put this into the S&P 500, we in 2 years are going to have well over $10,000. Okay, last point I want to make. I did bring up that 65% is your big three. The 20% is how you spend guilt-free. Notice we did not touch the 15% that goes to investing. We want you to continually go crazy and invest and grow your wealth. That is a smart thing to do. Now, in the future, if we have to save 50, 100, all these larger numbers of capital, we potentially would be tapping into that 15% that you put away for investing every year. Okay, step 2, simple saving tips. Automate your goals. So we now have a goal of saving $417 every month. Those are coming out of 2 different parts of our income. And guess what? We can easily forget where these things are coming from. We need to set up automated transfers in our bank account. So potentially you might have set up multiple bank accounts, or you might just have one. No matter what, you can set up a transfer. It doesn't matter who your bank account is or who your brokerage account is. You can automate transfers from your bank account to a high savings or high yield savings account, typically getting 4% right now, or you can automate and transfer into a brokerage account where you are automatically investing this capital into a S&P 500 index fund. These are available across the board on every single brokerage platform. Your job, though, is to not think about this at all. You want to set it and you want to forget it. We as humans always get distracted, we procrastinate, or we just really don't remember. It just slips our mind. Your job is to set up something that's automated, because you will never realize that that money was in your bank account, because it will be automatically swept right out of it and invested on your behalf. Okay, one last thing that I want to talk about is financial hygiene. I create a very small checklist of things that I need to check on every month to make sure that all the automated goals that I've set up, the transfers of this and that, makes sense. Now, here's what happens. You could set up a transfer the wrong way. It happens. I set up many transfers the wrong way. You do not want to get your bank account overdrafted on, or you don't want to be sending money to the wrong account. So after you set up all these things, every month you want to check to make sure that the transfers are set up right. Now, number 2 thing that you want to do is to make sure that all the expenses that you cut down on in those big 3, or in your budget friendly or your guilt-free spending, you want to make sure all those things are turned off. You might have turned off Netflix. You might have turned off ChatGPT. You might have turned off some other type of subscriptions. You should be checking every month on your bank statements that those things were turned off. You're not wrongly getting charged, and that, again, your transfers are going to the right place. The other piece, specifically for your brokerage account, you want to make sure that money is transferring to the brokerage account, and then once it's in the brokerage account, is getting invested into the right index fund. This will be easier if you have money just going to a high yield savings account, because it just sits there. But if you have it investing on your behalf as well, let's just make sure that every month those transfers are going through and being invested the right way. Number 3, simple saving. This is for everyone. We need accountability partners. We need people that we trust to hold us accountable. So we know that we are the average of our 5 closest friends or the group of people. Our environment impacts who we are. And so if we can have accountability partners who are in that close environment or close group of friends, this is going to be super helpful for us, because otherwise we could get caught up in FOMO and be jealous and envious of the person next door or what our friends have. So we have to set up accountability partners. So let's take the negative from the FOMO or from feeling ashamed of telling our friends and family and close folks around us about our goals, and let's turn that into a positive. So your job is to build either a mastermind group, which is just a group of people who have the same wants and needs and you hold each other accountable, or you could build your own board of directors. Every corporate company, publicly traded company, has a board of advisors and directors. These people help advise and keep the management team of that company in check. It helps them keep accountable. Why can't you treat yourself that way? Why can't you treat yourself, your business, your finances the way that the best companies in the world do? I think it's a good idea. Now, you want to prove people that you can trust and that have been proven that they lift you up from their previous behaviors and actions. That's definitely the first thing you want to focus on. Now, the second thing you can focus on is you have to incentivize these people. Board of directors for publicly traded companies, they get status from being on a board. Number two, they get experience and they also get access to other really great people. Number three, they get paid a lot, sometimes in stock of that said company that they're sitting on a board for. So you have to create some type of incentive for someone to be in your mastermind or someone to be on your board of directors. So say it happens to be one of your significant other. This could be a massage. This could be a specific date night. This could be simple, potentially things that are like even free 99 to incentivize someone to be vested in your success. Now, if this is a friend or a mentor, you could potentially give away your skills for free. So if you're good at public speaking, you're good at content creation, you're good at math, you're good at real estate, you could offer your service to these folks for free in return for them keeping you accountable. Okay, guys, now that we have one or two people who are in your board of directors or is in your mastermind group, we got to set up a process for them to keep you accountable. I think the easiest way to set up a process is to just do it through text. You can have a group text, and for this specific example, you can confirm and share that you have sent $417 to your brokerage account or to your high yield savings account. You can just do that every single month for 2 years. That is super simple, straightforward, not a big lift, and we're on our way to saving $10,000. Now, the only thing here is that if you do miss a month or you miss out on one of your goals, you have to create some type of negative impact that happens in your life. So that could mean that your group of board directors would have to keep you honest that you might have to turn off or not do something that you really want to do. So say you really love Netflix or you really love tickets. You have tickets to a specific concert or to a sports event. You may have to give those away because you missed this month's goal. So do something that has somewhat of a negative impact that will course correct all your actions to make sure that you are on track for whatever your goal may be in the future. Okay, at the end of the year, I think it makes a lot of sense to just review the progress and the performance that you have had. What is not measured cannot grow. So we have to measure, we have to stay purposeful about the time and effort and intention that we are putting into saving money, putting into changing our ways and evolving our behavior, etc., etc. So the simplistic way I would do this is on one weekend, potentially in November, December, you just carve out 2, maybe 3 hours, and you talk through your year review with yourself and potentially with one of your board directors or accountability partners. The easiest way to do this is to simply set up 3 categories. Category number 1 is what I did well. Here's the list of things that I did well, and you can talk over and discuss that with your board of directors. Number 2 is to talk about places you can improve or places for development and growth. Now, you want to keep those somewhat in a positive lens, but you do want to be truthful and be open about, hey, everyone's not perfect and there's always places that we can improve on. Section number 3 is stop doing. You want to leave this section open just in case you are doing something that's very detrimental to your goal. Typically, there's not anything in this category, but you do want to have the opportunity for some of your board directors or accountability partners to call out that this is something you need to stop doing. Potentially, it could be like staying out late. Potentially, it could be impulse spending, all these different things. Like stop doing those things. And when you're finished with that entire review process, you can now use those opportunities for growth and the things that you did well to think about your goals for the next year. And you can even do a vision board session, which is pretty exciting. Visualizing your future and emotionalizing it and figuring out ways to bring that future to the present. That's why we're here, man. We're here to find a life worth living and to take our dreams inside of our head and be able to dream with our eyes wide open and feel those dreams right now in the present. Okay, folks, now that you know how to save your first $10,000 effortlessly, this means nothing if you don't have good habits. Check out my previous video of 6 habits that may be keeping you poor.